welcome to the 2026 legislative preview. I know we've still got some people coming in, but we will admit them as they go. Just to set some little like house rules for the night, just please stay on mute during the presentation. Many of you have met Mark and Neil before, so we want to give them as much opportunity to share all their knowledge with us. So if you have any questions during the meeting, please go ahead and put them in the chat. Continue to introducing yourselves, but then also go ahead and throw questions in there as they come up during the presentation. At the end of the presentation, we will have a Q&A session. So we'll read out some of those questions for y'all so you can get them answered to the best of our abilities. As always, you can stay up to date with more of our legislative updates at our legislative website at sierraclub.org/Georgia/legislative. And with that, I want to pass it to Adrian real quick for a quick little announcement. So Adrian, whenever you want to come off mute.
Cool. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Hey, y'all. Happy New Year. It's great to see so many familiar faces. For those folks that don't know me, my name is Adrian Weber, and I am the chapter director for the Sierra Club Georgia chapter. I use he, him pronouns. I've been at the chapter for almost 7 years now, which is crazy. And yeah, we have a very big year ahead of us, and legislative session is really the first big thing on our agenda. But I just wanted to thank a lot of you. A lot of y'all gave donations at the end of the year. You volunteered with us last year. And we had a really, really successful 2025. And I just wanted to take a moment just to say thank you for being here today, but all the other work that you've done for us over the last 365 days. One other thing I just want to acknowledge is, we're less than a few days into the new year. And unfortunately, we're continuing to see attacks on our civil liberties and violence from the Trump administration in ICE, including the murder yesterday afternoon of Renee Nicole Good. As many of you know, Sierra Club stands strong with immigrant communities, and we strongly condemn the murder of Renee and also the actions that ICE continues to do to terrorize our communities that should be focused on fighting for a better future, including making ourselves more resilient and able to fight climate change. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for everything that you do in your advocacy work in your personal lives. Thank you for voting. And with that, I will pass it back over to Hannah. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Adrian, and thanks to all of you for being here. So I want to go ahead and let you all know who's you're going to be hearing from tonight. So just for starters, my name's Hannah Baker. I use she, her pronouns. I know many of you, I recognize many of your faces, but I'm the chapter organizer here at the Sierra Club Georgia chapter. I run a lot of like our legislative organizing stuff. So if any of you are going to join liaisons this year, we're about to become best friends. I highly recommend you join liaisons. But on that note, I'll throw it to Mark real quick to introduce himself.
Mark Woodall, he, him pronouns, your state legislative chair. Thank you.
And then Neil, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
I'm Neil Herring. I'm the Sierra Club's contract lobbyist.
And then Sherman.
I represent Sierra Club and 3 other environmental groups.
Good evening. I'm Sherman Neal. I'm the Deputy Campaign Director for the Military Outdoors Campaign. I'm actually on the national staff, but I live out here in Johns Creek, so I get to serve myself and help you and help our national stuff at the same time.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and get right into it. What all of you are here for. So our 2026 priority issues for the chapter this year are rather robust. We've got very extensive issues ranging from EVs to the Okefenokee to fighting data center regulation. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. And as I want to remind everybody before as we go into this presentation that the 2026 session is the second year of a 2-year session. So many of you who tracked legislation last year, we're expecting to see a lot of the same bills this year and a lot of the same issues that we saw last year. So on that note, I'm going to pass it to Mark to go ahead and talk about regulating data centers and crypto this year.
Thank you. Continuing on with what Hannah just said, politically in 2026, it's the second year of a session. It's also the big election year. Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General, 2 Public Service Commission commissioners are up, which is important to our energy work, of course, and 180 state reps and 56 state Senate seats. So everybody's up for election. They'll go in next Monday, the 12th, and they'll probably get out of there before the end of March. Legally, they can't take money during the session, so they will probably move right along. As you may know, data centers, the invasion of data centers, or the biblical plague of locusts coming in here to eat all our water and energy, I guess I'll compare it to at this point. The data centers have caused the Public Service Commission and, well, Georgia Power caused the Public Service Commission to agree on December 19 to spend $16 billion as a starter. It'll be a lot more than that before it's over with for 5 new combined cycle gas turbines and a lot of other things to supply power for data centers. So they're the main things. Data centers are the main things that are killing our efforts to move to clean energy in Georgia currently. So, and as you may have seen, we have data center fights breaking out all over the state of Georgia. So the best thing we can do to discourage excessive data center location is this Senate Bill 34 by Huffstetter, which would require the data centers to pay their own way, which would certainly discourage some of these speculators coming in here. So that's by Huffstetter, who is the Senate Finance Chair. He's a pretty powerful legislator. So hopefully we can get that moving. We also have by a Republican, a pretty well-connected Republican, John Carson from Cobb County, House Bill 559, that would go ahead and end the data center sales tax break on the equipment, all the servers, and the construction materials. The state auditor, just came out with a report December 24 saying that that tax break cost the taxpayers of Georgia $474 million in the last fiscal year. And the interesting thing he said was that the data centers, 70% of them would have shown up anyway, which would have been too many right there, 70% of them. And so the question is, why are we giving almost $500 million a year in tax breaks, our Georgia tax money, to the richest people in the world? That's who is really driving the investment. It's I think maybe $500 billion a year from the Google, Apple, and all these people doing the AI data centers. So that would be a good tax break to get rid of. Then we got a disclosure bill, House Bill 528 by Debbie Buckner, who's a senior Democrat. And as you may have noticed, the consumers are losing out at the Public Service Commission. We had somebody that represented the residentials up until Senator Perdue did away with it during the last big budget crunch, the Great Recession, 2008, 2009. So Huffstetter also has a Consumer Utility Council bill. That's SB 94. So that's short and sweet of it on data centers. Unfortunately, Georgia Power and the many lobbyists for the big tech will be opposing these. So we certainly need to have people calling in. And interesting thing about all these fights around the state of Georgia, like in Troup County when Google came in, I think there's like over 1,000 people. Every time a fight starts, there's all of a sudden over 1,000 people on the Facebook group. So hopefully these folks will help us. People are starting to understand. As a headline in the Washington Post said the other day, the rebellion has begun against data centers. So we need to have all the freedom fighters getting out there. Let's see. I guess that's a quick overview of data centers. There'll be more to come.
Thanks, Mark. Our next topic is going to be fighting EV rollbacks. And that's also you, Mark. So you get to keep talking.
Oh, thanks. Well, as you know, electric vehicles were selling pretty well in Georgia till they did away with that $5,000 state tax credit maybe 10 years ago. Yeah, in the big transportation funding bill. But with the federal tax credits still rolling along. But I don't know. Our DOT and the road contractors are worrying about missing out on $1 for the gas tax. The gas tax is starting to flatten out. The collections over $1 billion. Well, it's almost $2 billion a year now, I think. It's the problem is the higher mileage cars. It's the EVs really hadn't started biting in the money. But at any rate, our transportation folks got this electric car fuel tax passed. It's taxing the electricity that would go into cars. They don't have any way, really. The Department of Ag was given the job. I mean, the Department of Ag goes around and checks all the gas pumps. So they gave them the job of checking electric chargers, but they don't have the equipment. So this has gotten delayed twice. And really, the best thing would be all right, the residentials are exempted, the small chargers like you'd have in your garage. But the next thing is the level twos. Like I know DeKalb County's got over 100 out there at Sam Street for their fleet. We need to get them exempted. And if people that drive Teslas, I guess they can afford to pay the tax. It's really a bad idea. I think where we're going is miles per gallon. What do you call that? The mileage-based fee. Sooner or later, we're going to have to go to just paying for how many miles you go, probably. Oh yeah, and as somebody just pointed out, we got stuck with the $200 a year, and it's been going up with the inflation fee for electric cars. It was supposed to cover the gasoline tax. So yeah, it's a double tax. Good point. All right, I think that's about it for EVs rollbacks.
Thanks, Mark. And now I'm going to call on Neil to talk about some legislation we're working on protecting our water, including the Okefenokee, PFAS, and deregulating dirt and runoff. So, Neil, you want to come chat about that?
Yeah, the Okefenokee Protection Act by Representative Taylor, Darlene Taylor of Thomasville, is still alive. If it could ever get to the House floor, it would pass overwhelmingly. But getting it out of the Natural Resources Committee seems to be a feat that is not going to occur. We just don't know what's going to happen. We need the bill. We need the swamp protected from mining. And the geologists have uncovered more information that affirms that need again. And the miners were bought out. The property that was going to be mined by the people from Alabama got bought out by conservationists. And there's a need for permanent protection for the Okefenokee. It's not clear that HB 561 is going to be what we get. But the thing that did happen last year, both during and after the session, was Bulldog Nation, the University of Georgia's political influence, was swung in behind the Okefenokee heavily. And they even enlisted former Governor Perdue, which was a surprise to me. He usually doesn't go out on a limb for anything that's not going to get him some money. And but he did come out for protecting the Okefenokee. So forgive me if I feel like I don't need to worry about the Okefenokee for this session. But that it looks like we're in good shape. And if we can ever get a bill, we'll pass it. The thing's overwhelmingly popular. It's just blocked. The PFAS disclosure bill would require anyone who is discharging wastewater that has PFAS in it to notify the sewer system into which they're discharging that wastewater what PFAS they're discharging and how much there is, so that they can get equipment in place to filter the PFAS out before it's discharged back into the waters of the state. That bill is hung up in the same place as at the moment, as the Okefenokee bill, this House of Natural Resources and Environment Committee. But there's some thought that it will be introduced in the Senate with a new number, and it may be able to move faster there. The issue is actually very lively in Northwest Georgia. And I don't know if y'all saw the famous or infamous whatever, the Marjorie Taylor Greene coming out as an environmentalist in Murray County back at the 1st of December. But she talked about PFAS in her speech and how the people up there know all about it and they hate it and they know what's going on and they are distrustful. They want protection. So we feel like the pressure's there. And this is only a disclosure bill. And the industry had a bill, the carpet industry had a bill that would hold them harmless in this case. And that bill died quickly in the Judiciary Committee. But the guy that was the lead sponsor of that bill has also signed the disclosure bill. So the people that were on the other side are on our side on the disclosure bill. So we're hopeful about it. The other bill that has come up is House Bill H812 of Representative Chokas, who's from Americas, but he's doing this for the home builders and the contractors and a new group called the Residential Land Council or something, the Development Council, and it's they've got various reforms, as they call them, to local building codes, to relax local building codes, basically. But the part that affects water is they're trying to completely ignore the permitting of land disturbing activities in a serious way. And that's something that's done by the soil and water conservation supervisors, who are elected officials all over the state. And they didn't know anything about this bill, but they are in vigorous opposition to it. And the counties are opposing it. We're opposing it. And it's a major priority of the Water Coalition to kill this bill. But that's going to take some time. But the one thing that came out at the hearing on the bill was the supervisors were testifying, and they said this bill is supposed to be applied to residential development, but the way it's written, it applies to all development. It's actually a giant data center protection bill. It would let the data centers are huge sites of dirt in streams. That's the most dirt going into Georgia streams today is coming from data center sites right now. And this bill would make them, held them harmless. They'd just be able to put as much dirt in the stream as they wanted to. There's a lot of opposition to data centers from the farm community, and this is going to make it worse because they're not, the farmers are not interested in pumping dirty water onto their fields, and they hate having dirty water recharging the aquifer because it clogs up the recharge process. So House Bill 812 is probably going to be a rollback that needs to be seriously considered. The other water issue that we know is happening for a fact is that the EPD wants to revise the state water planning, the regional water planning councils. Right now, they have 36 members appointed by the governor and the legislative leadership. They want to reduce the membership in those councils to 13 members. They want to cut it down to 1/3 for administrative reasons, less work. The councils, the existing councils, several of them are opposed to changing that number, and it's not clear exactly how that fight will go. But the whole water council, planning council process has been, ever since it was started in 2003, it's been problematic. And so there's a chance for positive developments coming from that bill, although the controversial reduction in the number of people involved in the councils is going to attract most of the attention. But we do hope to get more planning out of those planning councils before we're done. The model water planning council is the Metro Atlanta Water Planning Council, which is quite old and has been funded by the state for years. These other ones, these are not funded by the state. They you know, people do it on their, people volunteering, basically, local governments and people like that. There's not much money behind it, and it's not fair. And that lack of fairness, the two Georgias problem, will probably play a role in that discussion as well as it unfolds. So that wraps up the direct water stuff, although as Mark pointed out, the data centers use a huge amount of water, and their water use has actually attracted serious opposition from the Farm Bureau because the irrigators all switched their pumps from diesel to electric years ago, and now their power bills are set to go up to power data centers. And so we may wind up with the farmers as our allies in the data center fights in this session, which will be a novel change in alignments that will be very favorable to us. So that pretty much concludes the water stuff.
Thank you, Neil. Alrighty. And then Mark, we're gonna go back to you to talk about how we're pushing to support clean energy this year.
Okay, as you may know, ever since 2013, Bubba McDonald has been able to line up the votes at the Public Service Commission to force Georgia Power to add more utility scale solar. And we're up over what, 5, 6, 7,000 megawatts, mostly utility scale. Unfortunately, community and community solar, not even legal in Georgia, but rooftop solar and residential has been held back because of Georgia Power refusing to pay any the full net metering, the full value of the electricity going back onto the grid. And so I think what are we, 35th, 38th or something in that kind of solar. We're for all kinds of solar, but we need to keep the utility scale solar coming along. And for some reason, the farmers down around Moultrie, maybe they're mad because the other farmers are getting these big leases. But these solar leases are very lucrative for the farmers, at least part of their farm to big utility scale solar operations. And currently, if you say you got a 2,000 acre farm and you want to lease 200 acres to utility scale solar, you only have to pay the breach on the tax covenant, the property tax covenant for ag use land, which is a lot less taxes than fair market value. But these guys want to do away with that and make folks pay the breach for the entire 2,000 acres. That's Representative Cannon's bill. So we've been able to defeat that in the past, and it has passed the House, but hopefully we'll be able to defeat it again in the Senate. So that's, I don't know, we may be seeing other attacks. In the past, they've tried to attack the small solar installers with making it so the PSC would regulate small solar, which would be PSC right now is not very favorable to small solar. So that was one attack, and there could be others. So as always, we'll have to be alert to rollbacks. I guess that's about enough on rollbacks of clean energy. Thank you.
Awesome. And then Neil, we're going to go back to you one more time to discuss opposing rollbacks and supporting roll forward, including the red tape rollback bill and bad actor legislation.
Okay. Senate Bill 28 by Lieutenant Governor Burns, well, Senator Dolezal's name, as he carries it, is second time he's tried to do that. It's died twice in the House. And the reason the House doesn't like it is because it's a campaign tool for Lieutenant Governor running for governor. And that's not something that the House regards as their job. They don't, it's not their job to promote candidates for governor from the Senate. And so that bill is still in the House committee, and it's unlikely to advance. It might. But if it does, it also has a poison pill in it that was added to it earlier on in its career, and they have the proponents have kept the poison pill in the bill. I don't know why, but I'm sure not going to ask. So even if it passed, it would not be as harmful as it could be if it was if on its face. Every single regulation in the state of Georgia would be reviewed every 4 years or something. The amount of paperwork involved in this is ridiculous, and for no good purpose. It's a pretending to do something when there's nothing to be done. And so that one has we'll have to keep our eyes on it, but it's never been in a happy place in the House. The other rollback bills that I'm aware of that are not on this list is House Bill 317, Bill 317 and House Resolution, Constitutional Amendment 192, which would allow private cities. And so that's one that is started in the House, and it got out of the Ways and Means Committee too late to pass, so it got recommitted to the Ways and Means Committee. And so we're going to have to work on stopping that one. It's a constitutional amendment, which means it needs a 2/3 vote. So that's one place where the Democrats can actually just kill the bill in the House. They can deprive the sponsors of the 2/3 majority necessary to move the project forward. The Senate killed the same project on their own last year in committee. So it's not coming into a happy legislative environment. It's dangerous as hell. It's a horrible bill because it lets the bond lawyers take over residential development in greenfields, rural areas, and it's aimed at capitalizing on people working in the new auto plants on the coastal plain. And so it's been basically a big boost for Wall Street at the expense of Georgia's new auto workers. So that's one that we're going to have to continue to oppose. There's a roll forward legislation, House Bill 644, Representative Townsend from Glenn County, from St. Simons, basically copies Florida legislation on anybody that applies for a permit from EPD that has a poor environmental record anywhere. That record is something that EPD will be, under this bill, would be obligated to consider before they grant that person or that firm a permit to do anything that affects Georgia's environment. And so that's obviously a bill that we would support ardently, and we have, and we hope that it moves. We don't know whether it will or not, but there's a widespread understanding that they need that bill, even in EPD. There's an understanding that they would be a lot better off if they had the power to just tell people to go pound sand when they know they're up to no good. So that's one to be hopeful for. I'm not sure if there's others. Mark, have I missed anything?
I think that's the top one on that bad actor. I think Biolab and Conyers has demonstrated the need for bad actor legislation.
Yeah. I mean, we've got bad actors all over the place, and these guys from Alabama that finally pulled out an Okefenokee were snakes. So that pretty well concludes my stuff there.
Thanks, Neil. And then we're going to close out our priority overview with Sherman talking about how we're working to get our veterans outside this session.
Appreciate it. And hearing some of this just reminded me to talk about our program a little bit. So one, again, I'm Sherman Neal. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I am not an expert on any of the things that we just talked about, but one of the cool parts about the military outdoors program is being able to use veterans as a force multiplier for testimony, other things. I bring that up because at Robins Air Force Base in down south, they're looking at putting a data center onto that base. At Fort Benning, they're looking at putting a modular nuclear reactor onto that base. And so there are opportunities to engage veterans in those military communities to help some of these things as well. Separate from that, here, talking a bit about Senate Bill 190, which is a bill that essentially has Georgia make its park pass system mirror the federal system to where active duty service members, veterans, and military families and Gold Star families, such as families where a service member has been killed in action, receive free park passes. And which actually mirrors other states like Alabama, Florida, and Tennessee. And so this effort is part of a large effort that Senator Kenya Wicks is leading. Senator Wicks is a retired Army officer. She is the sponsor of this bill last year. This year, it's taken on a different sense of urgency given what's happening at the national level with parks, right now, and cost and how that's going. And it's also taken on a different urgency in the state, given that Georgia just put their prices for park passes up 100% and changed their reservation system to a dynamic pricing system. So think Ticketmaster and doubling your costs on Thanksgiving, major holidays, etc. So I can explain more in the questions. One thing I did want to highlight is we just did a report on veterans in Metro Atlanta and measuring their access to nature, which is, can they get to a green space within 10 minutes? And 44% of veterans don't have access to nature in Metro Atlanta, which is the highest of the 8 cities across the country that we looked at. So there's opportunities to talk about health. We also tied that to clean air and just overall, the confluence of things that make Atlanta less healthy for veterans. And I don't have the exact number, Patrick, but given the fact that Georgia has all these bases and a high percent of veterans, there's a urgency here. There's it's enhanced given that the VA, is cutting 100,000 people, and that hurts people in, Druid Hills area that have to go to that VA center there. So appreciate y'all time and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Sherman. So now we're going to go ahead and move into our Q&A portion of the event. So if you have any further questions, I've seen some of you dropping them in the chat, but go ahead and drop them now. Mark, Sherman, and Neil, I'm going to go through kind of like our list in the chat and just read off some of the questions that we have from our attendees tonight. Oh my goodness, y'all have been talking in this chat. I got to scroll a little bit. So the first question we have is there any ways to override Lynn Smith to get bills assigned to the Natural Resource Committee to the floor? And that's from Laura.
You can do a discharge petition in the House, but no one that I know has ever seen it happen. We've tried it once or twice. It's just too hard to get that many signatures. There should be an automatic one. We've already got a majority of the House has signed the bill, but it still doesn't move it. And so Lynn Smith is the obstacle Lynn Smith's going to have to remove the obstacle. There's nothing we can do about it. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Neil. And then another question we have in the chat is from Patrick, and it says, what about property value devaluation from companies pushing industrial pollution?
Well, I think that's why we got all these people fighting data centers so hard. I mean, there've been the stories in the newspapers about, I think it was that blasting around Covington that caused all those water problems for the neighbors. So that's certainly a real thing, private property rights. I mean, it's interesting, the fights across the country. I mean, it's not a partisan issue. It's Republicans, Democrats, whatever you got. Libertarians upset about this. And yeah, something's going to have to be done about big tech. We think Speaker talks like we're going to get the high school following up on the elementary school banning the cell phones. And then we got some AI. They actually passed the AI regulation bill last year that's tied up in court by big tech. But yeah, big tech is running pretty much wild. And we need to do something about the data centers. I mean, the tax break, we're never going to get an income tax break if they keep giving away $500 million a year to the richest people in the world. And then there's also the development authorities, industrial development authorities. You walk in the door like they did in LaGrange, the development authority gave Google $200 million off their property taxes right off the bat. So yeah, so we're never going to. Speaker, the House wants to eliminate the property taxes on homes. Meanwhile, the development authorities all over the state are doing away with the property taxes on data centers and other industrial sites with this bond for title scam they run. So yeah, we got lots of problems about property values and giving away property taxes. I don't know if anybody's got a better answer than that, but
well, Mark, I think that you brought up data centers, and it continues to be an important fact about Georgia. The most common form of government in the state of Georgia is a development authority. And every one of them is empowered to plunge into debt, and property taxes are what secures that debt. And we don't even know how many we have. There's 1,000 or so. They just don't know. There's never been a report on how many development authorities there are. But there's more development authorities than there are counties, cities, or the state. Added up together, there's more development authorities. They're a problem.
Alrighty, and then our next question in the chat is there a way to push Georgia Power to keep its DERM promises? Right now it appears to only slow walk them.
yeah, well, Georgia Power slow walks a lot of stuff. I was up there when Southern Environmental Law Center and their clients were pitching a fit because of the demand side management. I mean, we were promised they thought when they signed off, I guess that was the final Vogel stipulation. When they signed off on that, they thought they were going to double the amount of money Georgia Power was putting into the demand side management to help with energy efficiency and all this other stuff you can do. But Georgia Power managed to weasel out of that. So, yeah, I think if we elect two more public service commissioners, that would probably be win two more elections in 2026 would probably be about the only way to get the Georgia Power Company to fulfill some of their promises.
And then the next question we have in the chat is, are there any data center areas we can visit to see the effects firsthand? And first note, like I've got something to say about that question is one of our partners, Science for Georgia, actually has an interactive map that you can go online and see where data centers are across Georgia. So that'd be a great place to start. Some of us on this call did go down and or take a bus tour around the Fayetteville data center that's down in that area, who they also have quite a bit of opposition to data centers in that area. But the fact is, if you look at that map, there, I think it says, Lee, that you're in the Northwest Atlanta metro area, and they are in Metro Atlanta. Mark and Neil, do you have any things to say about that?
Those people are pretty secretive. I mean, most of them won't even tell you how much water they want to use. So it's not easy to get a close look. As was pointed out, Fayetteville, that giant QTS operation there, which had all kind of erosion problems, and they got all kind of people upset because they got to build all these electrical substations, and the giant power line that runs all the way to Plant Wansley outside Newnan. So yeah, I guess you can drive by that one. I don't know where you can drive by. I guess you can take that map that Science for Georgia's got and go out searching for them.
Hannah, can I add one thing?
Go for it, Adrian.
So Fox 5 in early December did a 30-minute piece about, I think it was Fox 5, which is one of the local stations here in Atlanta, did a 30-minute piece about data centers and specifically focusing on Project Turbo, which is in Hall County, Gainesville. And so for folks that maybe can't get out to go see one of the sites, they had a lot of good footage of kind of the impacts of that data center. So maybe I'm on my laptop, but maybe Ricky, if you could drop that in the chat so folks could at least see some of that. And then Perfect Union also has good stuff on social media as well. Thanks.
Thanks, Adrian. All right. And then the next question we have in the chat is there a legislative way to stop the non-disclosure agreements associated with so many data center proposals?
The disclosure bill by Debbie Buckner would do that. 588, is that the number? I can't remember.
I think it's 528, isn't it?
Yeah.
528, yeah. 528 is a disclosure bill. And there may be another disclosure bill to come forth this session. The term that they use in the data centers is called terms and conditions. They're all secret. And so basically we want to find out what the terms and conditions are and make them not be secret anymore. That would include the non-disclosure agreements.
Alrighty. And then the next question in the chat is, will there be templates, form letters, or talking points given to us to reach out to our legislators during session when bills are up for consideration or vote? This is actually a question for me. So shameless plug, we'll be talking about it in the next slide, but that's the perfect place to join legislative liaisons. When you join liaisons, you get access to a community space that meets every 2 weeks. I see a lot of liaisons on this call. Hi, y'all. And then on top of that, we'll also update you on every single one of the priorities that you've seen us talk about tonight in that community space. It'll also be an opportunity for you to talk with other constituents across Georgia who are working on similar issues. And within there, we'll also provide you with talking points, flyers, opportunity to go call to the roads and do some constituent lobbying, send you templates and phone banking scripts to call your legislators to talk about certain bills that are coming up in committee or on the floor. So yes, we do have that as the part of the Legislative Liaisons program.
Yeah, I think some of the basics are on the website, aren't they? Don't you and
Yes.
Ricky put some of the stuff up there in case
Yeah.
you don't want to get into the liaisons?
Yeah, in case you don't want to get into liaisons follow-up, there is a legislative email list that Ricky, who's our comms person, who's also on here, will be helping out with me this session, and we'll send resources via that email list too. There's a link to it at the end of the session, but I'll also send all of these links in our follow-up email after the meeting. Alrighty, let me see. I got a question from Lee that said, "Who organized the bus tour to Fayetteville?" That was Georgia Wand. Let's see. And I think that's all of the questions in the chat. If anybody else has others they would like to drop.
I was just going to ask.
Conservation Day, Citizens Conservation Day is February 26th this year. So if you want to come down to the Capitol and wear your green clothes, that's the day.
I have the link for that at the end of the meeting as well. Adrian, what did you have something to add?
Yeah, just two things. First thing is, especially we're also specifically going to be looking for, our members and supporters that kind of live in some of these key districts of some of these committees we've been talking about tonight. So, Hannah will kind of, if you're interested in getting involved with liaisons, it'd be great if you could bring some friends along with you because, making a phone call or just even a dozen people to a state senator or state rep can really make a big difference. So, that's something that I've really learned in this work over the last few years is a little goes a long way down at the Capitol. So, though it might seem a little intimidating to make those phone calls, it can really have an outsized impact on our legislation here on Georgia. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. Hannah will kind of lead the way and really support y'all. So I just want to plug that one more time. And then the second thing is, we will be. It's a big political year here in Georgia, and so we have everything from Senate all the way down to PSC to some of our cities having their local and state elections. So we will be doing a political program later this year as well. But it's good to let these people know when you're going to talk to them. I'm your constituent. I know your neighbors, and you got an election coming up this year. So if you run into them at the grocery store, let them know you're paying attention. You don't want their water to be polluted. All this good stuff. Like I said, some of Georgia's, a state where a little hometown politics can go a long way. So again, just want to plug that. And thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you, Adrian. And on that note, yeah, Legislative Liaisons Program, which is basically our constituent lobbying program. So, like I said, it's about a 2 to 4 hour a week commitment, sometimes more, sometimes less. You get access to a community space to connect with other constituents who are interested in similar issues. And then we just help you build relationships with your legislators and give you templates, give you one-pagers, give you talking points. And then we'll also plug you in with some opportunities to do some lobbying virtually and also physically. And so then other ways to take action that go along with the liaisons. As I said, you can opt into our legislative emails. Ricky also dropped the link in the chat for you to sign up there. We'll be sending bi-weekly email updates about our legislative priorities to that email list. So if you want to stay caught up and then also have access to our action alerts to send direct messages to your legislators about any of these bills, sign up there. And then you can also sign up for our lobby training next week on January 13th. You do not have to be a liaison to come to lobby training, but this basically will give you the basics on how to interact with your legislator, how to find out who your legislator is, who to call, and then just how to talk with them and how to do good, solid constituent lobbying. And then the last two things we want to talk about, as Neil mentioned, we do have Capital Conservation Day with the Georgia Water Coalition on February 26th. One of the GWC's priorities this year is data centers. And then another lobby day that is coming up that we do not have to sign up for, but it is scheduled, will be EJ Day on January 26th. When I have the sign up for that, I will share that with all of you. And I believe one of their priorities this year will also be data centers. So lots of opportunities to go down to the Capitol this year. And then I'm going to look because I think we've got some questions in the chat. Is it okay for Georgia State House candidates to attend these trainings? Adrian, I think that's a question more for you.
Of course, 100%. So, you're a constituent of Georgia. We would love to have you, especially folks that are thinking about running for office. So, yeah, come on. We'd love to have you.
Yes. And then we had another question that popped up, and it says, what effect can the relationship between the House Speaker and the Lieutenant Governor have on the effort to abolish the Georgia income tax and other issues?
A lot. Neil, do you want to take that, or you want me to take a swing?
I think I talked about it before. You go ahead and opine.
Yeah, well, it was going back to the last night of the session last year. All of a sudden, Burt Jones just adjourned and walked out at like, what was that, 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. or it was before 9. So there was all this legislation flying around. It turned out that they were mad because of the what are those cameras? The speed camera, school zone speed camera legislation. They were the Senate was mad about the House changing it or something. So that was a pretty ugly end to the session last year. And the House, I mean, the Speaker, the House is not interested in electing Burt Jones governor. So the Speaker wants to reduce property taxes on houses, single family homes, and Burt Jones and Tillery are planning on getting elected based on doing away with the state income tax. So yeah, that's probably why there's going to be a lot of grandstanding, but probably not a whole lot of elimination of anything. Maybe further reduction, I guess is the size of it.
Alrighty, everybody. Any opportunities for last questions before we end for the night?
Well, it's not the flock cameras. In Atlanta, we have the flock, which is making big money off all the security cameras. Like, I guess their most popular thing is the tag reader, the car tag reader. I
Mhm.
mean, I think that's how they, and then how they caught the guy that shot up Brown University. What I'm talking about is, I forget the name of the companies, but it's the people that are writing all these tickets, automatic tickets in the school zones. There's a lot of people upset
Flock
about.
Safety is the name of the company, the Flock Safety Company.
Yeah, but they don't
They're
do the
based in
school.
Atlanta.
Yeah, they're in Atlanta. I don't think they do the school zone cameras, do they?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, well, all right. I
They
guess
may
they
have
get.
other people there, but they may sell them to other people to operate them. But they're definitely the manufacturer.
Okay, I stand corrected. Anyway, these school zone cameras in some of the areas are just a cash cow, basically for law enforcement and schools, however they cut up the money and the camera, the manufacturers and operators. So they were like leaving them on all day, and I don't know. They tried to regulate it. Well, one bill would have just abolished the things, and one would have made them so they could only operate within an hour or two of school opening and closing, and put various regulations on it. So that's the camera deal. A lot of money in that camera stuff, apparently, or the state senate when they got so upset.
Alrighty, folks. On that note, thank you so much for attending our 2026 legislative preview. After this, I will be sending y'all a follow-up email with all the links that we talked about today. This will also be recorded, so if you have any friends or family members who missed our event tonight and want to watch it, that recording will be available shortly. And yeah, if you have any questions about the meeting, please feel free to email me. My email is hannah.baker@sierraclub.org, and we'll try to answer those questions to the best of our abilities. But thanks, y'all. Thanks for coming to our event. Have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you.